Hey, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed these devotionals. Why don't you do yourself and us a big favor and make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That's what will send you a notification. In our last devotional, we talked about Andrew, how he brought his brother Peter to Jesus. We discovered in that talk that Andrew is never listed as first among the disciples, even though he was first. It appears he is overlooked, but his brother Peter faced a battle Andrew did not. Peter committed a significant, debilitating mistake. Ever felt like you made a mistake so bad that you're stuck in the past? Hi, I'm Alex Ennis with Simplify Strategies, and this is part 4 of our devotional series, March to the Cross. Hey, thanks for joining us today. At Simplify Strategies, we give God-inspired solutions for your personal challenges to help you find your path forward. Today we look at Peter in our study of the 25 unique persons and things that Jesus met on his way to the cross and resurrection. While Peter may be listed first in each of the Gospels, he committed a significant failure that many would not recover from. Ever felt like you failed others? Maybe you have even felt like that you failed God, or that your view of God is that you failed so miserably that He can't even forgive you, and He won't even use you. Here's your path forward takeaway. Jesus offers forgiveness beyond reason that exceeds the sin beyond excuse. Listen to it again so that you can digest it. Jesus offers forgiveness beyond reason that exceeds the sin beyond excuse. We don't have time to go into all of the failings of Peter today, but as a summary of his failing, Peter declares that he will never leave or deny Jesus. Jesus tells him that he will deny him 3 times. Peter protests that he would never do such a thing. He fails and he denies Jesus just like Jesus said he would. Can you imagine the emotions that Peter faced? First, he is fearful of supporting Jesus. After Peter denies Jesus, Jesus goes to the cross where he is crucified. Peter has to live with the fact that he stood back. He didn't intervene. He didn't even raise a voice to it. As a matter of fact, he didn't even defend his friend Jesus. John chapter 21 records how Peter is restored. We don't have time to read all of that entire chapter today, but I would encourage you to go and read it. Here's the summary. Jesus has risen from the dead, and the disciples have seen him several times. Peter just decides to go fishing, and the disciples go with him. Well, it's what you do when you don't know what else you're supposed to do. They're disillusioned as to what to do with a risen Jesus and what might be next. Jesus appears on the shore, but they don't recognize him. He calls out to them and asks if they've caught anything. They've fished all night and have nothing. There's nothing worse for a fisherman. Several of these guys are professionals by trade, and to admit they've caught absolutely nothing, man, that would be embarrassing. Jesus tells them to throw their net on the right-hand side of the boat, as if they've never thought about that before. But John records they pulled in 153 large fish. Peter swims ashore, and Jesus has breakfast waiting on him. Can you imagine what a breakfast from Jesus tastes like? I mean, move over Rachel Ray and Wolfgang Puck. After breakfast, Jesus asked Peter 3 times if he loves him. This broke Peter's heart. It says in John chapter 21:17, Peter was hurt that Jesus asked the question a 3rd time. He said, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus tells him then to feed his sheep. So how is this Jesus offering forgiveness? What is he doing with Peter? Well, there are some remarkable descriptions in John. First, we find in John chapter 18, verse 18, that Peter denied Jesus by a charcoal fire. What does Jesus make breakfast with in John 21? A charcoal fire. At the beginning of the story in John 21 that we are discussing today, this is the 3rd time that Jesus appeared to the disciples. Oh, and here's a fascinating one. He asks him 3 times if he loves him. Now, I'm not sure how smart Peter is, but I think no matter how slow you may be, you've caught on. Jesus is taking him back into his colossal failure. He isn't lecturing him, but he certainly is involving Peter in a setup. Why? To embarrass Peter? To ridicule him? No, he knows Peter will never be all he needs to be until he fully experiences Christ's love and forgiveness. Without a speech, without condemnation, Jesus simply gives Peter his path forward. Here's the extra twist in the middle of all the dialogue. In the 3 questions to Peter, Jesus calls him Simon, son of John. Ouch. For roughly 3 years, he has called him Peter, which means rock. You remember that from the devotional we discussed before. No wonder Peter was exceptionally sad. But Jesus is doing this to give Peter an unspoken path forward kind of question. Are you going to be Simon, son of John, or are you going to be Peter? I believe in you, but you have to get past the past. You have to experience my love and forgiveness that exceeds your sin beyond excuse. Peter embraced his name and helped lead the church from that point on. What about you? Is there something tripping you up? Are you stuck in an unforgivable past? Jesus offers forgiveness beyond reason that will exceed your sin that is beyond excuse. If these devotionals are helping you, then help us help others. The easiest thing to do is subscribe to our channel. Most importantly, share these. We want as many people as possible unstuck, and I'm sure you do too. If you or someone you know struggles with their view of God, that he's judgmental and harsh or unforgiving, please make sure that they not only see this devotional, but make sure that that they meet our next unique person, the man with leprosy. We meet him tomorrow as we continue on in our series of the 25 unique persons and things Jesus met on his way to the cross and resurrection. I'll see you then.